Hello, Algebra 1. Tonight's homework assignment is to work with the quadratic formula with some guided practice problems. We'll do a total of 3 GPs tonight. Here's GP number 1. Please take a moment to copy down the problem and then try to solve it using the quadratic formula. As a quick hint, I can write the quadratic formula up here for you. It's the opposite of b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. Go ahead and pause the video and try to figure out how to solve this quadratic using the quadratic formula. So looking at this particular quadratic equation, you need to be able to identify what a, b, and c are. In this case, a is 8. The coefficient of your variable squared is a. The coefficient of your variable is your b term, and then your constant is your c term. So in this case, I have 8 is a, 6 is b, and -1 is c. So let's go ahead and throw that into the quadratic equation. I have the opposite of b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4 times a times c. Don't forget your minus signs. And that's going to be all over 2 times a. Now let's go ahead and simplify the discriminant. That's the stuff underneath the square root symbol. So we have opposite of 6 plus or minus square root of 36 plus 32 all over 16. Let's keep going. -6 plus or minus the square root of 80 over 16. Now here's where things get tricky. On this particular problem, we have the square root of 80, and that is not a perfect square, but it does have a perfect square in it. So that's the same thing as -6 plus or minus the square root of 16 times 5 all over 16. Now at this point we have the opposite of 6 plus or minus root 16 is 4. I can't take the root of 5 all over 16. So our two answers are going to be -6 plus 4 root 5 divided by 16 and -6 minus 4 root 5 over 16. Now you could take a calculator and try to calculate that out. As far as on a CST, that's as far as you can go. Go ahead and pause if you need to continue copying that down. Otherwise, let's take a look at GP number 2. GP number 2 looks like this. Please go ahead and take a moment, please, to solve this quadratic equation. I have 2x squared equals 4x plus 30. Please pause the video and try to solve this one on your own. So for the solution, I have 2x squared minus 4x minus 30. We need to make everything equal 0 in order to use the quadratic equation. Now the quadratic equation says you need to identify your a, your b, and your c. In this case, a is 2, b is -4, and c is -30. That's some pretty big numbers there. So we plug it into the quadratic equation. We have a formula, opposite of b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4 times a times c. And that's going to be all over 2a. So we'll continue to simplify the discriminant. Again, all of the stuff underneath your square root symbol is called the discriminant. That's 16 plus 240 over 4. So that's 4 plus or minus the square root of 256 over 4. You have to think, 256 sounds familiar, and you have to try to remember your multiplication tables. You think, well, if I do 15 times 15, 5 times 5 is 25, my ones place is going to be a 5. I could probably stop right there. Let's try 14 times 14. 4 times 4 is 16. We might be on to something here, so let's go ahead and continue with the process. Nope. 196, that's way too small, so we need to keep trying. Well, what about, we know 20 times 20 is 400, that's too big. We know 15 times 15 isn't going to work. What about 16 times 16? 6 times 6 is 36. And that does give us our 256. So ignore this stuff, that's just my work. So I know that square root of 256 is 16, so that gives us 4 plus or minus 16 over 4. We split it up. We have 4 plus 16 over 4, which is 20 over 4. That gives us 5. The other one is 4 minus 16 over 4. 4 minus 16 is negative 12. And that gives us a negative 3. So there's our two answers there. X is equal to 5 or negative 3. So go ahead and pause it, go ahead and copy all of that down, and then let's try GP number 3. GP number 3 looks like this. GP3. Go ahead and take a moment, please. I have 12 equals 2x squared minus 2x. Go ahead and take a moment, please, to solve this problem using the quadratic equation. Hit pause to try it out. Let it play to copy out the answer. So looking at this problem, I just had to move a 12 over to the other side of the equal sign. That still gives me a quadratic in standard form. I need to identify my a, b, and c. Then you plug it into the quadratic equation, the opposite of b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4 times a times c, and all of that is over 2a. So we continue with our process. We have 2 plus or minus the square root of 4. 4 times 2 is 8, and 8 times 12 is 96. A negative times a negative is a positive. So that gives us 2 plus or minus the square root of 100 over 4. Now we can split that two ways because the square root of 100 is 10. So that's 2 plus 10 over 4 and 2 minus 10 over 4. That's 12 fourths, which gives us 3, and this is negative 8 fourths, which is negative 2. So our two answers are x is equal to 3 and x is equal to negative 2. There goes our 3 GPs tonight. That's your homework. Please make sure you have those GPs ready to turn in tomorrow. Thanks.